Hello everybody, Sky Marshall and the Eagle's Nest here, bringing you Turn 7's review for Global War 1985's Operation Failsafe. And quite a review I have in store for you. But let's dive right in, nation by nation, and just do a very brief summary of what's been going on. Warsaw Pact, in its infant blossoming of expansionism, has attacked Bavaria and has traded blows between NATO back and forth, and NATO was able to take Bavaria back again this turn. However, though, Warsaw Pact did extend its tentacles to places like Gibraltar, where they dropped an airborne there, and we have secured Turkey by the invasion of Anatolia. We have our forces in Crete and Greece, and actually right now, I believe we do actually have at least 6 victory points. Well, between Germany, we have at least 4, but at least 6 more victory points when it comes down to battling Germany back and forth. But nonetheless, we have also did seize northern Italy last turn, and this is about the extent of what we're going to be looking at. But we'll see what happens as we progress with the following turns there. But yeah, super excited playing this game right now. The Warsaw Pact has been very simple in many aspects, but also very much a stalemate when you're up against NATO. And you can see Warsaw Pact's Air Force is it's nothing to write home about, especially with the Soviets joining us here and in Norway there. But look at all of that. Look at the beautiful Air Force of NATO there. They got a lot of attack bombers, a lot of air superiority fighters. Their Air Force is nothing to laugh at, especially with the Americans joining them. So, in turn, NATO, of course, responded by building some main battle tanks there and a paramilitary in Extremadura and Valencia. And further north, obviously they took back Bavaria, as we had previously said. Really, the only NATO ships that are surviving right now is the HMS Intrepid, and we have a British destroyer, the Sheffield here, and the Dauphine, which I believe sank a Soviet submarine here in the Mediterranean this turn. So that was the contributions of their navy. But really the main focus was Bavaria there, and some smaller strikes everywhere else. So that being said, NATO, did a very good turn. They're holding their ground. Obviously, time will tell on how we proceed. Moving on past NATO, we actually go to Soviet Global Command. Soviet Global Command obviously has, as you already know, taken northern Norway up there. They brought their attack helicopters in, airborne mechanized divisions, rolled and steamrolled and destroyed Norwegian forces in Norway, basically opening the gate for a complete capture of the northern part of Europe, which is great for the Soviets. They've always wanted that. It's going to be great to add to their new empire. But also they have been expending and sending forces not only into Eastern Europe, especially in the German areas, but also down here in Angola. It's quite an Angolan force here, obviously, with Soviet forces. So if that were to break out, that would obviously start another conflict further down south here. One case in point, the Libyans have been receiving some Lend-Lease and have been slowly bulking up their forces. That's what Warsaw Pact has been doing, because the Egyptians have gone the way of the Yankees right now. One pause, one note. I'm also going to make a real brief note. And if you look at the Mediterranean here, you actually see a domination of Iron Curtain forces, specifically their navy. 2 destroyers here in C-Zone M2, 1 in M4 and 1 in M8, plus this is just a stand-in sculpt for the frigate that the Warsaw Pact actually has in the Mediterranean. So keep that in mind. There are no NATO ships currently in the Mediterranean. So anyway, Soviet Global Command has done that. Moving on over here into India, you can see their Air Force. and their assets have moved further south, facing towards the Red Curtain or the Red Wall, the Chinese forces. So obviously China has to prepare for that coming forward there. But they have a substantial navy here, and they've actually been battling some blows this turn against the American Navy that formerly was an I-6, and we'll get to that in a second where they went. But obviously the cruiser Murmansk, the capital ship there, along with her destroyers, have been patrolling the Indian Ocean right now, securing Soviet trade. So Soviet Global Command, I think they're doing very good, focusing specifically in Northern Europe, building ships where they can. One small side note, they built 2 frigates up here in Murmansk. Going over now to the U.S. Global Command. The U.S. Global Command was able to actually remove all Soviet assets out of South America, specifically in Venezuela, and French Guiana. And they were able to do that with the Carl Vinson Task Force here, which now resides here just north of South America with the Iwo Jima, the assault ship, as well as her surface vessels escorting her. So congratulations to U.S. Global Command for that. And further north here, they also commissioned or took the Nimitz out of mothballs in her refit, and now she is also the second Nimitz class carrier in the Atlantic theater, along with the cruiser Mississippi and her support ships. So currently that's what the west side of the Atlantic looks. The fabled USS Dallas, which was engaged in the Red October battle, was also sighted north of the Azores, where she sank a Soviet Foxtrot class diesel submarine. And so now American forces do hold a good stance here in the central Atlantic, but of course there's oil, shipping lanes, and a few other variables here that right now we have to worry about, they have to worry about it moving forward. Let's move on over here now to Soviet Far East Command, and it's a bit of a doozy. But the Soviet Far East Command seized southern Manchuria this turn, destroyed many units on the board, but China was actually able to regain not only southern Manchuria, but central Manchuria, bringing in forces up through here, and now have regained a lot of their territory. Props to them, but China is less green on the red right now, so they've lost a lot of forces. Obviously, the Soviet Far East has taken a licking as well, but that's not going to stop either nation to pursuing their Far East ambitions. Further south down here, the Americans have been annoying and picking away at the fleets and units here in the Southeast Asian sector. The Kronstadt, the Stoyo, the Krasny Rim, and the Akula class attack class submarine, both, or all of them I should say, were sunk and destroyed by the USS Chicago and USS Miami. And now Chinese boats have actually moved into this area, into these waters, along with the San Francisco and the destroyer Colony. That is a very sizable threat right now for the Soviets, which are in the Indian Ocean, but also the USS Enterprise and her task force that has moved slowly westward. Now, right now, they're caught really between 2 American forces, so we'll see next turn what Soviet Global Command has in store for both these fleets here. But yeah, Soviet Far East Command, they did a little bit more consolidating, but of course lost some territory, and we'll get to that with Pacific Command. A little bit more build up here, bringing some more forces further south into Mongolia, but not a lot in the big picture of things, unfortunately, just because they have a lot to do right now. And Pacific, or PAC, Pacific Command here for the United States, has done a lot of movements here, and obviously have engaged in a lot of naval battles successfully, and destroyed several Soviet ships, boats, and units. Not only that, they actually were able to take back the Philippines and eastern Malaysia with that air cav down there. So they've secured a few more points. And I believe they even got a battle star, which I think they built, if I remember correctly, minor army base in Singapore. So good on them. They also got nuclear release dice, so that's why we see a B-1 bomber and a I think that's a Vigilant attack bomber over the skies of Guam currently right now. And further north here, they rebuilt a new amphibious assault ship and put 2 new frigates here off the coast of Japan in defense. They brought the USS California from the Californian coast over to Bonin Islands sector there in the north. But all in all, they've actually done quite well this turn, really harassing the Soviet Far East. Last but not least, China. China, as I said before, took Northern Manchuria territories. They repaired a large part of their army bases, but not all of them. They had to pick and choose what they were going to repair after a huge missile strike came from the Soviet Far East. So currently now they're licking their wounds there and obviously preparing for any invasion perhaps north from the Vietnam, Cambodia sector, India, and obviously forces there. So China really has to be wary right now. But their navy, especially the Qing, the Chang, the Pong, the Ping, the Chong, and the Wong, are all doing well. Those missile control boats are surviving and being a very good menace to not only Soviet, but Western forces. So very happy with this game, guys. Slowly but surely, starting to learn more and more and more. Obviously, I'm jazzing this game up here with, 1980s reality and space satellites, and just a bit of cannon fodder for the people that are really enjoying these videos and this game. So hopefully I'm doing it justice, guys. We're going to be starting Warsaw Pact's turn up next turn for turn 7.1. And we'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care and stay classy from the Eagle's Nest.